Zach.
Should we go see Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves?
I think so. We have nothing else better to do.
We don't have honor, but I guess my real question, though, is should we review it?
Let's let the dice decide.
All right, cool. We'll roll for initiative.
Mm-hmm.
Under 10,
Mm-hmm.
we don't review it.
Right.
And then over 10, we should
review it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right. Let it roll. Oh.
It's a nat 20.
Oh.
Yeah! Hi, friends. I'm Zach.
I'm Mitch.
And we are Excellent Little Podcast.
Presenting you a little movie podcast starring Zach and Mitch.
Mitch, I think we're doing a podcast.
And I think we need to set up a D&D session.
Honestly, I would have so much fun with D&D. I haven't done it yet. Neither of us have played the game. But we're going to review Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, the movie.
We are?
We are.
Oh, shoot.
We rolled the dice, so we got to do it.
Roll the dice.
All right, so... summary: a charming thief and a band of unlikely adventurers embark on an epic quest to retrieve a lost relic. But things go dangerously awry when they run afoul of the wrong people. Of IMDb, that was a lot of big words that I was not ready for. But
all right.
Studio by Paramount.
Pictures, we got a director duo of John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein, the screenwriters of Spider-Man Homecoming. Screenplay, John Francis Daley, Jonathan Goldstein, and Michael Gillow.
Yeah. All right. Can I split up this episode?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so for those that are new, welcome everybody. We split up our videos into 3 different categories. Our non-spoiler section, where we talk about non-spoilery things like cast,
Other
script, things of non-spoilery natures. Then we move on to our review, which Mitch will go ahead and gladly talk about once we get to that section. And then we get into our spoiler section, where we talk about spoilers.
Spoilers? What's the point of having a spoiler section if we're going to talk about spoilers?
That's why we're saving it for the spoiler section. But, all right, Mitch. Well, since I split up the episode, what are your first thoughts of Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves?
So, here's the thing.
You always know it's going to be a bit when he says, here's the thing.
Yes. Or when I say the thing is. So, here's the thing. It's a movie.
It is a movie.
Was it funny? We'll see. I can't help but think that when this film was being made, everybody that was involved was just like, what the heck are we doing? I feel like when they were putting pen to paper, they were like, we're going to put this in. I don't know what I'm writing, but I'm writing something. And then they look at it. And you know the scene from Deadpool 2 when the script is Green Lantern script?
Yeah.
And they're like, and Chris Pine looks at it.
Or Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, well, Chris Pine gets this script.
Okay, gotcha.
And he looks at it. I love this. I want to be in it.
This is going to be a career changer, buddy.
This is... It's... I can't say much because I want to talk about it in my review.
Got it.
But it's a movie.
It's a movie.
Zach?
Yeah. So, admittedly, I love the concept of this movie, but when trailers started coming out, I hated these trailers. They looked so bad. I was really worried, and I don't think I came in this movie with a clear head as I should. And maybe my not clearing my head kind of hurt this movie because y'all, it could have been better. We'll give it that. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our cast performances, my friend.
Yeah.
So, you brought up Chris Pine. So Chris Pine plays Edgin in this movie. What did you think of Chris Pine's Edgin?
Typical Chris Pine. I mean, so here's another thing. Chris Pine is not going to blow you away with his acting ability.
Yeah.
Other than he did well in the movie that we saw last year, Don't Worry, Darling. He did do well in that one. But he is not going to blow you away with Oscar-worthy flicks. Everything that he does, it's Chris Pine.
I really did kind of like him in Star Trek 1 and 2.
But it was Chris Pine.
But it was Chris Pine.
But and that's the thing. He's just doing Chris Pine stuff.
I liked him in those ones, but
And that's what I know you did.
But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but what'd you think of him?
Yeah, no. And again, like how I said, I like Chris Pine, and I think having him be kind of like the bard, the recluse rogue,
right?
It makes sense on paper. But the paper was bad, man, on this. So I think the script really hurt him on this one. You really got to see a lot of sides of him. You got to see his singing ability, which I think is always underrated. I'm not going to lie. I think his singing is actually, it's not the best, but it's actually pretty good. And you get to kind of see him try to stretch his comedic chops, which normally he does like so on, but this one,
Speaking of, do you need one more thing?
nah, that was that. Overall, like it's not his best role.
Speaking of comedic chops,
Oh God,
Hugh Grant as Forge.
see, I don't mind Hugh Grant. I think he's okay, but oh my God, was this a paycheck role for him? He mailed this thing fucking in. It was not good for Hugh Grant on this one. God, it was terrible. He was one of the worst performers in this movie, arguably. But I see your face. You're holding something back. What do you got to say, my friend?
I disagree. I thought he was. I really enjoyed him, but I will say there were a few performance parts where I wanted a little bit more. But I liked him in this film. Every time I saw him, I had a smile on my face. I appreciated him more than Chris Pine.
Okay.
And I appreciated him more than this next cast member. Michelle Rodriguez is Olga.
I hate to hate on her, but yeah, she really hasn't been one of my favorite actresses in Hollywood because she's never really ever given a great performance. But I'm not gonna lie, this one might be her biggest Razzie performance I've ever seen. This is wooden. The only time that I ever see her face and her acting ability show in this role is when she talks about the kid, and that's it. That is it.
He's not kidding. Like I don't understand why and I get it. An actress still has to work, but I don't understand why she keeps getting these leading roles. I mean, she's great.
She would be a good side character, and she's decent in Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
But like as a side character,
Well, she was great in the first Avatar. I liked her in the first Avatar.
Oh yeah, she was actually really good in the first Avatar.
But ever since then, she just keeps And did you ever see her in the Machete films? The Machete.
I did.
She wasn't bad in those.
She wasn't bad in those, but Machete is Machete. So
Yeah.
like,
But Michelle Rodriguez, I have a feeling every time she makes films, she does them completely stoned.
I mean, her face looks it because it doesn't move.
I know. So I don't
Jesus.
you do you. You do you. If
That's your actor's way, that'd be. But
if it gets you through the workday, but
yeah.
you need to be doing you need to be smoking something else.
All right, but let's go ahead and move on after our cast performances. Let's talk about the world, because I mean, D&D's world is always notorious for being very steeped in lore and very big and expansive. What did you think of the world in this movie and how they used the world?
So here's the thing. it was big, but I wanted it bigger. Because I'm trying to avoid spoilers as much as possible, but I feel like there was such a broader scale that we could have touched upon, and they didn't. And that goes back to your talking about the script. I think the script was just like, let's just focus on the comedy and the things and the bad acting performances. But they realized, like, oh, wait, we can actually build a big world that's based on this tabletop game, Dungeons and Dragons. It wasn't there. And that's what upset me.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. The world, you can see, it's very expansive.
Yes.
But it's a centimeter deep
in
terms of what they go into.
Yeah.
They literally go into these places. They show you all these different like monsters and things. and they sometimes give some references, but really you don't see a lot of like in any ways anything that's not outside of our realm.
Right.
It's a lot of humanoids, not a lot of creatures. And I'm just like,
yeah.
Well, then why
What are we
wasn't this
doing?
just in medieval? Like,
Yeah.
what the?
Yeah, what are we doing?
What are we doing? And
Yeah.
that's the thing, because I know that the world of D&D offers so much more than that. So
Yeah.
the fact that they swerved more into comedy, it was a comedy with a whisper of adventure.
Not even a whisper. But yeah, but okay, so one more last thing, and this is going to be a debate between Zach and I. Is this a D&D film? You can go first.
Yeah, and this is where I say, hands down, no. You mishandled the world, and not only, I'm going to set you a picture of what a real D&D movie actually should be, and you don't actually have to go all that far to look. If you go back a couple years, and I know we have to go into an actor's profile that you don't like too much, go back into Dwayne The Rock Johnson's category and go back to Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. That is how a D&D movie should be done. You have your avatars, but the characters who are playing the tabletops are the ones that are actually speaking through those avatars and going through their adventure, and maybe having like a god voice dungeon master on top, like saying, okay, and now you're gonna do this, or maybe have one person saying like all the actual dialogue of like all the NPCs or whatnot.
Right.
Like that would be a very fun concept. This shit ain't.
So,
And it's because of that world and because of like what we've gotten before in different movies, I feel that this does not live up to the D&D hype.
so I'm going to disagree with agree with you a little bit.
Okay.
Is it a D&D film? No, but it's not as far off as I think you think it is. And the reason why I say this is because there were multiple fight sequences and multiple times in the film where I literally felt like, oh, that's definitely something a random kid just thought up of on the spot. Because there were some bits where I'm like, okay, so he didn't just think of that, right? He didn't like have that plan. That was literally pulled out of his ass.
Sure.
And that's what D&D is.
Yeah.
It's all improv.
Yeah.
It's all pulled out of everyone's left butt cheek. I
Yeah,
mean,
it is.
It is. So there were multiple times in that film where like, oh wow, that literally came out of somebody's head immediately. So it felt like at times during the fight sequences and sometimes when they did some traveling, it reminded me a little bit like, okay, they made that up idea on the spot, or they're like, okay, that was not planned. That just happened and they thought of it immediately. And again, that's what D&D is. Go ahead.
And that's where I feel like that they miss their fun, is that we never get to see or realize that discovery. And it wasn't as apparent by having it be set in the story where you don't know and you're not seeing that camaraderie of the players.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. So I think the part of the issue why we disagree on it is I knew we weren't going to get that.
And I knew that too. I knew that too.
Okay.
I was hoping they would maybe pull like a Lego movie, like
Right.
almost, but I knew that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, it was a little disappointing, but I feel like it's close. It's closer than what you think. They are setting up more spin-offs.
Yeah, and I will eat my vegetables to go see them.
It'll be streaming, so we don't need to worry about that.
Thank
Okay,
God.
so it's review time.
Yeah.
So how we break it down is we break it up into 3 categories. We have Feed It to the Dog, which is Radley. He's somewhere around here. Meaning we didn't really enjoy it, but we still think you need to see it and form your own opinion. We have our Needs to cook a little more, meaning it might need something a little different, like a script change, an actor change, a director change, a producer change, something else.
Yeah.
A nice little side of vinegar or whatever. Vinegar.
Whatever.
We just needed something a little bit more to get to our next category, which is Eat It Up, meaning we enjoyed it. We definitely recommend you see it in the movie theater, but if you can't, Get it immediately when it's on streaming, on demand, DVD, Blu-ray, whatever you so desire. All right. So, Zach, why don't you go ahead and start?
I'm feeding this to the dog hard. This is going to the scraps. It's not even a question for me. This is not a good movie at all.
That's funny because I am putting this in the Phantom category.
Oh yeah.
April Fools.
Oh, thank God. I was like, you didn't enjoy. I get you. I was like, you enjoyed this movie more than me. I don't think it was that bad, but all right.
Gotcha.
You got me.
I'm putting this in the low needs to cook a little more. Yeah. It's the low end of needs to cook a little more because I have to say I enjoyed the majority of the fight sequences. They looked really good. That's something we didn't really touch upon. But
they were so short.
Yeah, they were short.
They were so short.
They were. But you have to. Here's the thing. The last Dungeons and Dragons film was made in 2005, and that was worse than this.
Yeah, that's a garbage disposal.
So I feel like when you come up with an impossible task with making a film like this that has literally you don't have a plot. It's not based off anything. You're making this up as you go along from a tabletop. So it's almost like the creators were playing a game and they're writing the script, and that's hard. You can't really do that, especially when it's a tabletop.
Yeah.
So it's an impossible task. They did the task. Did they do it well? Not really, but I feel like if they took a little bit more time and actually took the extra time developing the script, developing the characters, developing the world, and maybe adding a little bit of what you wanted from that Jumanji film, I feel like they could have had something going for this. So I just felt like we mentioned in needs to cook a little more category, it just needed a little bit something. It needed more time, a little bit more effort to a certain script. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for me, it's just because it misfired on cast performances, it misfired on a script, it misfired on direction.
Sure.
It misfired on all senses of the word. So in my opinion, this is a feed it to the dog.
Okay.
But, yeah.
So before we get to spoilers, thank you so much for joining us, my friends. Email us at elpodcastmz@gmail.com. Leave us a like, subscribe, comment, follow our other stuff like Twitch and TikTok.
However long it's here for.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. All right. So we're heading into our next category. Zach, what do you want to do?
I don't know. Bravely bold Sir Robin rode forth from Camelot. I don't know. Spamalot's on my mind a bit right now, but but it fits ish.
Sure. So we have two things. Can we flip them?
Yeah, we can flip them.
Bradley Cooper's in this film.
That was a decent surprise that actually got a chuckle out of me admittedly, but then the scene fell back down. I was just watching the film and then all of a sudden here he is. I'm like, Bradley Cooper, how much are they paying you to be in this crapshoot? I mean, I didn't think it was that big of a crapshoot, but it was still, it was a shoot. Not a crapshoot, but a shoot. But yeah, Bradley Cooper's in this. Random cameo.
Yeah.
Sure.
I loved it. Oh yeah. Okay. So now we're going to talk about, I'm going to say my favorite scene, the graveyard scene.
Yeah, which is also my favorite scene of this one because it actually made me laugh a few times.
Why did it make you laugh?
Because it actually did something actually funny for once in this movie.
That's one of my 5 questions.
And well,
what are you laughing at?
Well, that's 2. But that's the point. Is like you can only do 5 questions. You can only ask each of the thing 5 questions. And the fact that they failed so many times, and I thought that was a good bit.
Hi, Bradley.
But yeah. So that's a big thing that I did kind of enjoy, but it was only for a little bit.
Yeah, and Bradley,
it's all right. Bradley, it's okay, buddy.
Good boy. All right, so there is a post-credit scene, and it kind of continues that graveyard scene. But what was that graveyard scene?
You are just gonna fall asleep at this point, man.
What are you talking about?
You've got one more question, my friend. Be very careful of what you ask.
What was the fifth question?
I guess at that point, this is going to be the end of our episode. So in that case, he's dead. I'm Zach.
We are Excellent Little Podcasts. Don't forget to email us at elpodcastmz@gmail.com. Leave us a like, subscribe, comment, follow our other
also,
accounts.
What did you guys think of this movie? Were we right? Were we wrong? Tell us why in the comments.
Please do.
But until that next movie, my friends, I've been Zach.
I've been Mitch.
And we are Excellent Little Podcasts.